Greetings fellow undead. If you are passionate about the lore within these games, then please consider checking out my channel. Please remember to like, and if you are new, subscribe. With all that out of the way, let us begin.
Pyromancy is the art of invoking and manipulating fire. But remember one thing, always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again.
The city of Izalith was not built, it was carved. From the rock the structures took form. The beings responsible for the city's construction were not demons, but people. On the many walls we can see these people, a people before the demons, a people before the chaos. The chosen undead must ring 2 bells to fulfill the prophecy. The second bell is located within an area known as Quelaag's domain. Between the spiders and their eggs, we see the ruins of a once important structure. This structure I believe to have been a church. So what was it that the people of Izalith once worshipped? The answer is flame, and more precisely, the first flame. However, this belief did not last long, and quickly began to change. In Izalith there is evidence of the city being incomplete, as if interest took a turn onto something new. Many archways were carved, but leading to the bare rock. So what caused its people to shift focus? Catalysts of the Witch of Izalith, of long ago, when her daughters were still flame witches, before they were engulfed by the chaos flame. Before the birth of pyromancy, their wands were mediums for sorcery, but knowledge of this flame sorcery has long since vanished. The Izalith catalyst represents a refined understanding of flame. This was the first instrument that enabled one to cast flame sorceries. During the war with the ancient dragons, we see the flame witches conjure huge firestorms, burning down the stone arch trees. The instruments they use are Izalith catalysts, and these same staffs can also be seen elsewhere. In the bowels of the earth, a ritual is taking place. Between her burnt palms, the Witch of Izalith holds a flame. Beside her are her 2 daughters, with the large wooden staffs. What we are witnessing is the attempt to duplicate the first flame, and this attempt did not occur before the war with the dragons. Soul of the bed of chaos, and the mother of all demons. This Lord Soul was found at the dawn of the Age of Fire. The Witch of Izalith attempted to duplicate the first flame from a soul, but instead created a distorted being of chaos and fire. Its power formed a bed of life, which would become the source for all demons, and is more than enough to satiate the Lord Vessel. Upon the many pillars the ruler was carved. Roots symbolised the witch, her transformation, and the beginning of a new culture. But what tempted the witch to duplicate that which gave her life? She and her daughters have proven that they have a profound understanding of flame. She learnt to shape the creator, but what if she could become it? Art of the Flame of Chaos, which engulfed the Witch of Izalith and her daughters. Erect localised chaos fire pillars which change strength depending on humanity. The Witch of Izalith, in an ambitious attempt to copy the first flame, created instead the Flame of Chaos, a twisted bed of life. The witch did not use her own soul, just a soul, to duplicate the flame. If she were to create something new, it would have to be pure and undeveloped, so that she could nurture and manipulate, shaping it into what she desires. It is my belief that she was pregnant at the time of the ritual. The flame she holds between her hands is that of her unborn child. A child works much the same as a parasite. It feeds and relies on the host for survival. The dependency of her child meant that the newly created flame was also dependent of her. The witch succeeded in creating life, but at the cost of another. An orange ring enchanted by a witch reduces lava damage. Since his sores were inflamed by lava from birth, his witch sisters gave him this special ring, but fool that he is, he readily drops it, and from that spot a terrible centipede demon was born. This ring once belonged to Ceaseless. The fact that this ring was made to be worn suggests that he may have looked more human upon birth, and that over time his condition worsened. Unable to control his sores, they slowly transformed him into the being we know him as. In the Design Works interview, Miyazaki had this to say on Ceaseless Discharge. All demons are born from the fire of chaos. but he was the first, born so long ago when the fire wasn't yet stable. He possesses it, but he can't control it, and it burns him constantly. Despite his size, he's actually the youngest of Izalith's children. He stands gazing up at the ruins where his sisters live. The only source of comfort in his pitiful, painful existence is the belief that they are watching over him. After Ceaseless, demons continue to be born, but not in the traditional sense. The Guardian Soul gives us a clear understanding of what makes a demon. Soul of the white-winged lying sanctuary watchkeeper, who dreaded the spread of the abyss. The Guardian exhibited traits of several animals other than lions, suggesting that it was no ordinary beast, but closer to the beings known as demons. In the beginning, the witch was yet to master the art of life. The signs of imperfections are evident when taking a closer look at her demons. The demon fire sage, the asylum demon, and the stray demon all suffer from the same problem. Their wings are too small and they cannot maintain flight for more than a few seconds. I believe that this is not their intended form. This is not how their mother envisioned them, that these demons are incomplete and imperfect. Further imperfections can also be seen when observing the backs of the Taurus demons, a reminder of what could have been but never were. Eventually, fully developed wings were achieved. However, we shall discuss the Batwing demons and their betrayal later. Continuing, the Bounding demons are yet another example of trial and error. Their appearance is of the decaying lower half of a dragon. When attacked, they retaliate. Although incomplete, they are sentient. When we think of a dragon, we think of its ability to fly. Could this be the reason for their existence? Were they another stepping stone towards the perfect demon, the perfect creation? Even though these demons may have been imperfect, they were still loved by their mother. The culture they helped create was rich and rivaled those above. Old ring from an old witch, engraved minutely with indecipherable script, but seemingly useless. Not only does this ring display fine craftsmanship capable at the hands of demons, but it also reveals that they possess their own spoken and written language. When equipped, the ring allows one to communicate with the fair lady. A flaming wreath language can also be seen when you encounter her sister Quelaag, her brother Ceaseless, and her two other sisters that remain by her mother's side. The demon fire sage displays order and religion. Flame sorceries were taught to the demons, and their flame priest was the last master of these original fire arts. Demon catalysts, formed from Izalith molten rock, can be used as a fire weapon. The demon fire sage was the first demon and the last master of the original fire arts, before the Witch of Izalith was engulfed by chaos, creating pyromancy. Further signs of order and rank can be seen in the descriptions of the demon weapons. And with rank comes discipline. Around the waist of the Capra demons is a skirt. This skirt is made of bark, presumably peeled from the many roots that sprouted when the witch took a new form. The demons not only have respect for themselves, but also respect for others. Continuing with the Capra demons' design, Miyazaki had this to say on their appearance. It can be difficult to achieve the right balance of symbolism in designs. It's true that I dislike designs which are too obvious, but there are times when I feel a design lacks a certain something. At times like this, I have been known to look through the reference materials, pick out things I like, and simply stick them on. The Capra demon's head is an example of this. It gives a sense of ceremony and long-held tradition, which in turn hints at a developed culture. To further discuss evidence of a developed culture, let's return to the demon weapons. The lesser Capra demons use these great swords in pairs. The blade is cast iron and hooked. The sword is imbued with no particular magic, but for those who have the strength, its great weight will smash foes mercilessly. The mention of the weapons being comprised out of traditional resources ties in with the large flame ember and the chaos flame ember. The large flame ember creates fire weapons, and the chaos flame ember creates chaos weapons. If you wish to fully upgrade a weapon that is infused with either fire or chaos, you will need a red titanite slab. The red titanite slab is located within a chest deep below Izalith. These slabs are heirlooms of the nameless blacksmith deity. The red slab is evidence of his involvement with Izalith, as this slab did not exist before the Ember's creation. So just how deeply involved was the nameless deity with the demons? To answer that, let's first discuss titanite. Titanite chunk for weapon reinforcement, not found outside of Lordran. With the discovery of chunks in Lordran, the race to locate the legendary slabs has begun, but could they be mere myth? In a recent video titled "Titanite is the Story of Creation," I proposed the idea that titanite is the flesh of the ancient dragons. The reason as to why titanite cannot be found outside of Lordran is because Lordran is where the war with the ancients took place. The nameless blacksmith deity not only acquired the knowledge on how the flesh of the ancients can forge legendary weapons, but he also learned how stone can become a vessel for life. For more on this topic, please watch the mentioned video. Returning to the demons, we see evidence of stone being a part of their creation. The stone demons can be encountered in both the demon ruins and Lost Izalith. They take the appearance of a statue and in some places serve as one. Another demon posing as a would-be statue is the centipede demon. Only when nearing the entrance to Izalith does it awaken. The centipede demon is comprised out of both rockworms and a bounding demon. As we've discussed, the appearance of the bounding demons is that of the decaying lower half of a dragon. Dragons were made of stone, that was later known as titanite. Demons too are made of stone. The bounding demon's existence cements the blacksmith deity's involvement with Izalith and the creation of demons, as I believe that the wings of demons to be a result of using the flesh of the ancient dragons in their creation. Now that we've discussed culture and creation, let us delve deeper into chaos. It is my belief that the witch slowly lost control over the being she had created. At first she was able to maintain it, but by learning more of its secrets, she had to give something to get something, and the something that was required was her soul. The many roots around Izalith represent this violent consumption. Chaos is not only devouring its creator, but also their home. If one wishes to obtain the witch's soul, they must first destroy her two daughters. These daughters have stayed beside their mother since the ritual long ago. Through great efforts they help subdue the chaotic entity, and when killed, the spell is broken and control is lost. Chaos breaks free of its bonds and the host becomes the puppet. The transference of power is represented by the chaos bug below, as one can only obtain the primeval soul by killing this parasite. On the topic of parasites, they were yet another step towards progress and the evolution of demon culture. The more powerful parasites were reserved for the daughters. The fair lady and her sister Quelaag bonded with these creatures by choice. Their older sister, however, did not partake in this practice, but this does not mean she shunned the gifts of chaos. Art of the Flame of Chaos, which engulfed the Witch of Izalith and her daughters. Sweep foes with Chaos Fire Whip, which changes strength depending on humanity. The Fire Whip was wielded by the eldest daughter of Chaos. The Daughters of Chaos. We know of their mother, but what of their father? To answer that, let's return to Ceaseless. As we discussed, Miyazaki described Ceaseless to be the youngest of Izalith's children. He was born after the witch's transformation, and her transformation ties in with the fate of the father. Inside of the painted world, an audience with a king can be granted. His name is Jeremiah, and he is the Xanthus King. He holds a notched whip and has chaos pyromancies at his disposal, those being Great Chaos Fireball, Chaos Storm, and Chaos Fire Whip, the same fire whip that is also wielded by the oldest daughter of Chaos. We found the father, but why then is he imprisoned within the painting? I believe this to be a result of a pact that was made to conclude a war. And before we talk peace, let's first discuss that war. shield of the Black Knights that wander Lordran. A flowing canal is chiselled deeply into its face. Long ago the Black Knights faced the Chaos Demons and were charred black, but their shields became highly resistant to fire. The creation of demons and their advanced culture posed a threat to Gwyn and his kingdom. By creating a new flame, the Witch of Izalith had broken free of the cycle that ensnared Gwyn. The first flame had begun to fade, and the demons were now beginning to rival the heavens. During the intro, we are introduced to the first flame in all its wonder. The size of the flame represents the power it holds. However, as events unfold, the flame begins to change. When we are introduced to the furtive pygmy, the flame that is held between their hands is small and frail. The first flame seen behind them has also decreased. As the pygmy stands, their shadow rises. As the flame wanes, darkness grows. The fire began to fade 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years is also a common misconception when discussing the linking of the fire. Many believe this was when Gwyn departed to the kiln. However, I believe this to be incorrect. Lord Gwyn set out for the kiln before the events of the DLC, and these events occurred 300 years before the timeline of the main game. This convoluted understanding of time is spawned from a certain serpent's dialogue.
Heavens, you have done it! You have retrieved the Lord Vessel after 1,000 years. It is you. It is really you.
For 1,000 years, Frampters waited for Lord Gwyn to be succeeded by another. The fading of flame illuminated Gwyn's weakness, and since then, the serpents of both light and dark have sought a new lord. The fading of the flames and return of the cold dark was also prophesied by the blacksmith deity. When the blacksmith deity passed, from the slabs great beasts arose. The Titanite demons represent the form that the nameless blacksmith once took. His missing leg suggests his origins. Hephaestus is the Greek god of blacksmithing, metalworking, carpenters, craftsmen, artisans, sculptures, metallurgy, and fire. He is also thought to be the son of Zeus, and that he was either born lame or was made lame when he was expelled from Olympus. The definition of lame reads, unable to walk without difficulty as the result of an injury or illness affecting the leg or foot. If the blacksmith deity's design is inspired by Hephaestus, could the relationship with his father also help us understand this nameless character? To answer that, let's turn our attention to another blacksmith. In early concepts of the game, Andre was a descendant of Lord Gwyn. His appearance, dialogue, and lip movement are all echoes of that once important role. It is my opinion that a lot of the ideas that were intended for Andre found themselves being integrated into the design of the blacksmith deity. If you believe this to be true, then this may help further understand as to why Lord Gwyn would go to war with Izalith. The blacksmith deity expelled from Olympus sought comfort in those that dwell within the earth. He used the flesh of titans to help create new life that would go on to flourish and rival his father's kingdom. Returning to the timeline and mention of 1,000 years, we also hear this figure from one of the daughters of chaos.
Free, mother and my sisters, from the flame of chaos. I cannot do it myself. I lack the strength and the bravery. But you, I realize what I am asking. But please, free their poor souls. Mother's ambitions were misguided, no doubt. But surely 1,000 years of atonement is enough.
Quelana is not to be so easily trusted. She tells half-truths and manipulates the minds of men. We will discuss her agenda later, but for now, let's define atonement. The definition for atonement reads, the action of making amends for a wrong or injury, or, in religious contexts, reparation or expiation for sin. The goddess of sin is Velka. Her agents can be found within Izalith, but we cannot know when they met their demise, as I believe Velka had already been removed from Anor Londo shortly before the war with the demons. The individual now in charge of her former covenant is Gwendolyn. How he came to be in possession of the covenant is a story for another day, but Velka's removal from the heavens is made clear elsewhere. The painted world was once her sanctuary. The relics of her church and teachings are found scattered within. After her removal, it was repurposed, and it now serves as a prison for those who are deemed dangerous to the gods. And this is where we return to the Xanthus King Jeremiah. A mysterious item once worn by the Xanthus King Jeremiah, the legendary exile. No one knows where it came from. The crown bears high quality cloth, which is quite soft to the touch, but its bright yellow colours stings the eyes, and it is clearly far too big. This crown hides a secret. Hidden beneath is a parasite. The king too bonded with the gifts of chaos and practiced its powerful magic. Like his daughters, he cherished flame, but the flame he no longer held was that for his queen. His love for her had been extinguished as he found himself engulfed by another. If the Xanthus crown is traded with Snuggly the Crow, the item given in return is the Ring of Favour and Protection. A ring symbolising the favour and protection of the goddess Fina, known in legend to possess fateful beauty. Could the witch's transformation into the bed of chaos have caused her king to find beauty elsewhere? Could this forbidden love go on to produce forbidden fruit? This ring is granted to those who enter a covenant with Guinevere, daughter of Lord Gwyn and the Princess of Sunlight. This slightly worn ring boosts the synergy of miracles. The Princess of Sunlight left Anolondo along with many other deities and later became wife to flame god Flan. I believe that this flame god Flan was the child of both Fina and King Jeremiah, and that Fina left with her son when Guinevere departed. On the topic of Guinevere's leaving, perhaps there is more to her abandonment than just the fading of the flame. Perhaps she needed to leave so that she could marry the one she loves. That her love for a god whose family once went to war with her father may have been considered a sin.
Go back, forbidden be these parts, the realm of the creatures of chaos. They accept their banished fate. Go back, lest the flames devour all, and the children of chaos feed upon your charred ashes. Those who defy the pact, those who trespass Quelaag's domain, may you feel the depth of our wrath.
As I mentioned earlier, a pact concluded the war. Anolondo was the victor, but victory was not solely won due to the might of Gwyn and his knights. The bat-winged demons turned against their kin. The blood upon their hands symbolised this betrayal. This imagery is also used in the beginning intro. Seath betrayed his kind so that he could obtain that which he never possessed. Is this then true for the bat-winged demons? Is their betrayal spawned from a want of a thing they never had? Their weaponry describes them as lesser demons. Perhaps Gwyn offered them more power and rank that chaos had never allowed them to have. Further signs of demons worshipping the heavens is the sunlight maggots and the item that they can drop. A loathsome parasite that inhibits lost Izalith. It is completely immobile, yet still lives. When worn on the head, it emanates blinding light, which is why it is known as a sunlight maggot. When worn, this parasite resembles the crown of the Dark Sun, and possibly the Warrior of Sunlight emblem. If killed, the item they drop also strengthens the bond between chaos and light. This faintly worn medal, engraved with the symbol of the sun, is the ultimate honour awarded to those who summon the Warrior of Sunlight and complete a goal. The symbol represents Lord Gwyn's firstborn, who lost his deity status and was expunged from the annals. But the old god of war still watches closely over his warriors. Similar to the bat-winged demons, did Gwyn's firstborn also promise strength and power to those who called Izalith home? Are these medals a reward for their cooperation during the war? We do not know how long the war lasted, but eventually a line was drawn and demands were made. The Xanthus king Jeremiah I believe to be a victim of this peace, as I do not think he was captured, but that he was instead surrendered. Further signs of Izalith surrendering its citizens can be found within the Northern Undead Asylum. In the time of the chosen undead, those branded with the curse are corralled and sent north. Here they are locked away to await the end of the world. That is until a nameless knight throws down a corpse which holds a key. But freedom is not so easily earned. There is another door that needs opening, and it is guarded by a demon. This demon patrols the roof and is responsible for fatally injuring the man who liberated you from your cell. When opening the double doors, you are met with an entrance that would weaken the knees of the bravest of men. Here you now stand face to face with the asylum demon. This demon is not a prisoner. His coat is turned and he enjoys his duty. He ensures that no one escapes. He is committed to his role. He is committed to the asylum. However, the same cannot be said for the thing that lurks below. The many hallways hum and howl with the soaring high wind atop this mountain. But there is yet another sound that can be heard rattling the walls of this mad house. That sound is the sharp snapping of bones under a heavy foot. The reason for this many bones is because of the cruelty that is capable at the hands of men. Before they joined the ranks of the undead, the guards passed the time by throwing defenceless prisoners in with this beast. Prisoners that when killed would soon return beside a bonfire, ready to do it all again. The name of this ferocious beast is the Stray Demon. The definition of stray reads, not in the right place, separated from the group or target. He is far from home and unlike his kin above, is not enjoying his circumstance. If the asylum demon is able to enter the stray demon's arena, they quickly become enemies. Is this a design oversight or a hint at the rivalry between these two demons? The weapon wielded by the asylum demon may give us an answer. Demon weapon built from the stone arch trees, used by lesser demons at Northern Undead Asylum. This hammer is imbued with no special power, but will merrily beat foes to a pulp, providing you have the strength to wield it. This weapon was not carved from the bones of fellow demons. This weapon was purposely built. It is a reward granted to those for their service, being yet another example of lesser demons finding comfort in the sun and turning their back on chaos. The asylum predates the undead curse. The graves outside indicate its history and age. It is my belief that it once held all manner of prisoners. Similar to how the painted world now serves as a storehouse for the unwanted, the asylum held those who posed a threat to the gods. This theory may help us understand as to why the peculiar doll can be found here, as this was once the place where a young Priscilla was kept. The iron ring too is a relic of a prisoner who predates this now undead asylum. This ring was used to shackle the guilty. It is terribly rusted and faintly stained with blood. Those who find this strange ring to their liking will be pleased to find it easier to gain footing on poor ground such as swamps. Blighttown was yet to be blighted during the war with the demons. So, who was this sinner and where did they hail from? Beneath Izalith can be found poisonous terrain. This bog is like rot beneath the floorboards, and potentially it predates the city's construction. Worn by the witch Quelana of Izalith, mother of pyromancy and daughter of chaos. She wore this gold hem black cloak even before the Age of Fire, and it offers strong resistance versus fire, poison and other perils. Even before the Age of Fire, the flame witches wore attire that protected them against poison. These girls grew up around hot lava, flowing magma and poisonous springs. In uneven and unpredictable terrain such as this, a good balance and stable feet would benefit those that called such a place home. This set is acquired when taken from a corpse that is watched over by the youngest of Izalith's children. When taken, he is enraged, you have stolen from his beloved sister. But this attire states that it belonged to Quelana, who is one of the 7 daughters of Chaos, and she is not deceased. One of the 7, so let's account for the other 6. 2 daughters were engulfed along with their mother, now protected by their oldest sister. 2 binded with the gifts of Chaos, and the last cannot be found. To figure out this missing person, let's finally discuss Quelana.
I have a favour to ask. My mother, the Witch of Izalith, was one of the primeval lords. Her power came from the soul that she found near the first flame. She focused this power to light a flame of her own, but she failed to control it. The flame of chaos engulfed Mother and my sisters and moulded them into deformed creatures. Only I escaped. And now I am here, but my mother and sisters have been in anguish since. I beseech you, free Mother and my sisters from the flame of chaos. I cannot do it myself. I lack the strength and the bravery. But you, I realize what I am asking. But please, free their poor souls. Mother's ambitions were misguided, no doubt. But surely 1,000 years of atonement is enough.
As I've stated, this witch tells half-truths, but even when incomplete, they are priceless. It is believed by many that the Witch of Izalith duplicated the flame to extend the Age of Fire. Her soul was found near the flame, and as it faded, she would too. This being enough reason as to why this master manipulator of fire would even think to attempt this. But it was not desperation that led her, it was ambition. The definition of ambition reads, a strong desire to do or achieve something. Desire, not desperation. Her daughters are evidence of her fertility and her ability to create life. She desired to play God by using the soul of her unborn child to manipulate this new flame. A flame that would allow her to be the ultimate mother, the ultimate creator, the ultimate God. She flew too close to the sun and grew wings of anguish. She capitalized on this suffering and was able to bear fruit. Her roots dug deep, and from her leaves new life came to be. But the foundation was unstable and the water poisoned. During the beginning intro, we see all 7 daughters of Chaos. They accompany their mother in the war with the dragons and ritual. I believe the smallest, and therefore youngest, to be Quelana. A young girl with little comprehension of the world, simply following in the footsteps of her sisters and mother, could not have predicted the outcome. Everything she knew was never to be the same. Her mother, her sisters, her people, even her heart. Sadness turned to hate. She began to despise what had been done and wished to see it put to an end. I believe Quelana played a part in the war with Anolondo, that she may have provided them with vital information on how to best approach her mother's creations and magics. I also think her to be responsible for the fate of the missing daughter of Chaos, that the robe she wears belongs to her sister, and that she faked her own death to cover up her involvement with the war. The missing sister was captured and sent to the asylum, the now rusted shackle being all that remains of her sin. The rest were banished, a result of the pact. The city was lost, it was to be left alone, and never again found. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to like, and if you are new, subscribe. A special shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. Thank you for keeping the flame lit and my Estus flask filled. If you too would like to support the channel, please see the pinned comment. I have attempted to bring a new perspective to the lore surrounding Izalith, and for that reason I have avoided some observations made by other Souls creators, as I do not want to repeat what is already known. If you haven't, please watch Hawkshaw's video on Demon Snare culture, you will thoroughly enjoy it. The link will be in the description. I've also had a bad throat over the last few days, so my apologies for the groggy voice in places. So I say again guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.